Great team win for us. We weathered the storm in every sense of the word. So proud of our guys. Obviously, it was a crazy game to be called off the field on three separate occasions for weather delays, but our guys did a great job of staying focused. We utilized that time to make sure we corrected some things that popped up on the film, made some adjustments during that time frame. Guys were into it. Guys were focused. And we were ready when we went back out on the field on those, two occasions when we were called off during the middle of the game. And I thought it was ironic that two of the times we were called off the field, it just so happened to be when we got some momentum. Had a big stop there on fourth down at the end of the game with just over 5.5 minutes left. Coincidentally, we were called off the field. So proud of our guys. We handle adversity. We handle anything that presents itself as good as any team that I've been around. Nobody lets anything affect them. So we went off the field. We got ourselves together, if you will, and talked about going on the field at the end. Offensively, the challenge was we're going to go down the field. We're going to score a touchdown. The defense was going to come out on the field, stop them, and then we're going to end the game with the greatest play in football, which is victory. So great team win for us. Appreciate all the people, all the fans, our families that traveled to South Florida to support us and stay with us all the way till the end. So it makes getting back at 4:30 in the morning worth it.
Defensively in the first half, I think you guys gave up 24 points and 300-something yards, and then obviously you buckled down in the second half. What changed from your perspective defensively?
Well, you just look at three plays really in the passing game that were big plays where, two of the times we had a guy in position, just didn't make the play when it presented itself. And then the other big play they had, they sent the receiver in like he was going to crack the linebacker. It was a little pump fake. And then he released vertical, and we had bad eyes, if you will, and so those three plays that presented themselves in the first half, our guys talked about it, made some adjustments at halftime, came out in the second half, held them to 3 points. Proud of them for overcoming adversity because that was, that first half was uncharacteristic of the defensive play that we put on the field and put on tape for the previous three games. So I'm proud of our guys for making that adjustment. Continuing to fight, play within the scheme, because the one thing you worry about when things go like that in the first half, guys take it upon themselves to try to do something on their own that's outside of what you teach from a scheme standpoint. But I'm proud of our guys for just staying within the scheme, letting playing the defense that was called, and then obviously I think you saw the results paid off for us in the second half. Guys started making plays. We got some pressure on the quarterback. We slowed them down, and I can't can't reiterate how proud I am of our guys for just staying the course.
Coach, we talked some about this the other night, but with Zach Ryan stepping up, I think he made the big play on fourth down, got the pick at the end. And we've talked about his value, but how big is it when a guy makes plays in those moments like that, just to have a guy that you can kind of count on at the middle of the defense?
Well, just, again, the credit goes to Zach for being a student of the game. He studies the game. He knows what's coming, if you will, and that's true film study, that's true preparation and practice. When the opportunity presented itself, he seized the moment, and that's what you want. He's a senior linebacker. He's played a lot of football. He's seen a lot of things, and when the situation presented itself the other night, I'm not surprised when you say a guy like Zach Ryan steps up to make that stop on fourth down to get the interception on the last drive of the game. So the credit goes to him, his preparation, buying into the scheme of what he's been asked to do from Coach Dowse and the defensive staff. So it's great to see players like Zach step up in those situations because that's what you expect from them.
Then we saw the graphic going around on Twitter that said you guys were leading the nation in sacks. How exciting is that for the program, just to be out front? I think it was up there with Florida and Michigan. How exciting is that?
Coach Dowse hates the fact that that's out there. He hates the fact that we've talked about it, but it's important because it's something we should be proud of as a program. 4 games into the season here, we're 3-1. To lead the country in sacks with 17. I think that's a credit to the hard work the players have put in from the time we arrived here together in mid-January through spring practice, through the workouts by our strength and conditioning staff, and then obviously in training camp. And the recruits need to see that. That's a big piece for us in recruiting that, for us to be at that point right now. And our guys last night, we joked with them, hey, we're at 17, but really we've left some more on the field. So let's not eat the cheese. Don't feel good about yourself here. Let's not get caught in the mousetrap, any of those things. Let's just get back to hard work, having a great week of practice, and that is what it is. But, yes, it's something that is a good accomplishment for our guys for the hard work they put in.
You said Coach Dowse hates that it's out there. Why is that?
Well, it's just him. That's just who he is. He's such a competitor that, he feels like there should be more than that. And again, it's just him just not wanting it to be about, any one certain thing. He's a total team guy. And he just wants the whole defense to play well, and yet he still was obviously wanting to make sure and correct the mistakes that showed up on tape from Saturday night. That's just who Coach Dowse is. He's a guy that eager to get back to work, fix our mistakes, and know that those can't continue to show up, or else it could cost us. So that's just who he is, and being an ultimate competitor.
And then, we've talked about the slow starts in the first 2 weeks. I felt like offensively, again, you kind of stalled a little bit early. What do you have to do to kind of correct that, and how big was it to correct it later?
Just keep working. It's not a magical thing. There's no magic ingredient or no magic button we can push to fix that. We just have to continue to emphasize it. We do. Unfortunately, no, we didn't get off to the start we wanted. We got ourselves in a 14-0 hole the other night. But, again, for whatever reason, it started that way, but our guys continue to fight. Nobody ever on the sideline pushes the panic button. We just continue to work, fight, scratch, claw, and we had a good second quarter there to close the gap and to get within striking distance there at halftime. And again, we came out in the second half, and when there was opportunities to be made and plays to be made and an opportunity for us to go win the game, we did that.
What did you think of Kevon's catch there at the end?
Yeah, that was impressive. Obviously the back shoulder fade that he caught to get us down to the 2-yard line was impressive, but the 3rd and 5 play that he also caught on the sideline for the first down, that was impressive because of the physical style of play that Kevon has. And, you love to see, I told him on the sideline, man, big-time players step up in big-time situations and make big-time plays, and that's what he did. He wanted his number to be called, and when it was called, he stepped up and made the play, and that's what you love to see, just like Zach Ryan. On the defensive side of the ball, that's what you want to see out of your guys.
What did you see from Josh Posley on the film? He seemed to be a guy who really stood out on Saturday.
Yeah, he did a great job on Saturday. He did a good job of playing within the scheme and doing what he was asked to do. The results, his hard work, that paid off for him the other night. I think he realized that third, fourth quarter, if he just does what he's supposed to do, then those opportunities will present themselves. And I think Josh had a great week of practice last week, and I think that's, again, why that showed up on Saturday night is because his emphasis in wanting to have a good week of practice last week, he was dialed in, he studied the tape, and I think, obviously, we saw the results for him on Saturday night.
In the first half, you kind of got after the offense a little bit. Coach Jackson, Coach McKenzie got after the defense on the sidelines, and they seemed to respond. How do you guys balance getting on them and trying to demand better while also staying positive and trying to encourage?
It is a balance. I tell those guys all the time. I think they know who I am, though. I'm an emotional guy. I get passionate, but yet I love them as soon as that's over because we're all in it together and we're trying to get, we're trying to play the best that we possibly can. So, yeah, I got after some guys, but they also know, too, I'm not a guy that holds grudges. I expect the guys to accept the constructive criticism, get right back out on the field, do their job, make the plays when they present themselves. And so, they know who I am. They know that I'm a passionate guy, and if I get on them, don't take it personal. Just accept it, and let's get back at it.
And obviously, NIU is 0-4, but we all know what they've done in the MAC over the last several years. When you watch film on them, what kind of things jump out at you?
It's a good football team. I don't care if they're 0-4 right now. They're 0-0 to us because a new season starts right now. This is our first conference game, and the Mid-American, the West Division goes through Northern Illinois. They've won the last 6 years. 3 out of the last 5 years, they won the MAC championship. So a ton of respect for that program. It's the Bronze Stalk trophy that's at stake for us. It has not been in Muncie since we haven't won since 2008. So that's a challenge for our guys. We want that trophy back. And listen, I have a ton of respect for Coach Carey. I have a ton of respect for Northern Illinois, and I don't care what their record is right now. They've had some injuries. Yes, they've lost their quarterback, but they've got they've got players, and this is going to be a good football team that comes in here on Saturday, and we know that. We're ready for that. We're going to have a great week of practice, and we'll be ready when Saturday rolls around.
Coach, another pretty good performance from the O-line on Saturday. I know we've talked a lot about that group. How has, with 3 new starters basically this year, how has Coach DeVan and that group kind of been able to produce just week in and week out so far?
Well, obviously continuing to develop those young guys. You know, yes, they've got 4 games under their belt right now, but it doesn't stop at 4 games. You look at the tape, you got to look at your weaknesses, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I got to get better at this. Coach DeVan does a great job of keeping it real with those young men, and they know what they have to improve on. So each week's a new week. Each opponent's a different opponent. They offer different, each defensive line is different. They have different body types. They have different strengths and weaknesses. So our guys know that, once you get exposed to some different types, if you will, of defensive line, which we have through 4 weeks of play, it's only helping their development. So continuing to make our corrections off the tape, carry that over to the practice field. He stays after them. They accept the coaching. They've responded very well to that, and they know that they have to continue to improve each and every week for us to get where we want to go.
Coach, with Riley, especially in the first half, I know he had 2 rushing touchdowns, but he had some big runs there in the first half that kind of helped the offense move a little bit, move the chains a few times. How big is that part of his game, just being able to give him a designated run and let him go?
That just helps him get in a comfort zone. He's a tough physical guy. He embraces, he loves when his number gets called in the running game and he has an opportunity to pull it in some of our zone read stuff. That gets him going. That gets him in his comfort zone. He likes contact. Obviously, you don't want to see him trying to run too many people over, but you love that he is a physical kid, that is a tough guy and prides himself on that. But that just gets him going, gets him in a comfort zone, and he does a good job. That's something that he's very good at, so we're going to continue to do that.
And then I know you've kind of played around with like Kevon with the direct snap or the kind of sweep handoff, but then this week we saw the pass back to Riley. What do those kind of little trick plays do for the offense?
Well, you want to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and for us to get a direct snap to Kevon, that ensures that the ball will be in his hands. And he's good. Kevon's a physical runner. We always tell ourselves we just got to get it in his hands. He's good at breaking tackles. He's good at making people miss. He's physical, so what better way to do that, to make sure that happens than put him at the quarterback position, split Riley out. So we'll continue to let that package evolve, if you will. And, yeah, we're going to have some wrinkles off of it. We're not just going to let them say, we know what's coming. Yes, we're going to have wrinkles. We'll have a couple trick plays off of that. So that's just continuing to evolve and make sure we have that package well-rounded.
Then with a team like Northern Illinois, I know you talked about the record, to you it's 0-0, but when a team is 0-4, can there almost be some desperation there? Can you kind of fear that a little bit?
That's not who you don't win. You don't have desperation. You don't win the MAC West for the last 6 years and all of a sudden push the panic button. I'm sure he's going to get his guys calmed down. They're going to go back. They're going to have a good week of practice. They're right there in a couple of those games that could have gone either way. So I know there's not going to be a panic button pushed. They've been too successful as a program. So they'll be at their best. And obviously they're preaching in their building now that it's a new season. Mid-American Conference play starts. Doesn't matter what's happened with those non-conference games. Now the real football begins, if you will, when the conference season opens up. So we're going to get their best. I'm not worried about them. They're not going to push the panic button, any of that stuff.
They've traditionally been known as a team that likes to run the ball and be physical up front. They're 2 tailbacks, Bonio and Huff. What makes those guys tough?
Well, when your head coach is a former offensive lineman, you love to run the football. That's a great formula and great recipe for him. But you look at those 2 backs, those guys are big and they can run. They're physical style runners. They're good in the open field of breaking tackles. They're hard to get to the ground. So we got to be very fundamentally sound. We got to be good tackling team, good tackling defense in the open field. And those guys are both they're 1A and 1B. It's not like they're both very good backs. We know what to expect, and obviously they don't rush for 301 yards. Last week against Western Illinois, they're good. Some of those were tough yards. Weren't just a lot of, they had some big gains, sure, but yet they're going to stay with that. That's not something that, they're willing, even when they were behind, they were still running the football very effectively.
Back to Ball State real quick. Corey obviously caught a touchdown in his return on Saturday. How much is a guy like Corey missed when he's not out there, and how nice was it to get him back in the lineup?
Corey plays the game with a swagger. He's a very confident young man. He loves to have the ball in his hands. I think I've seen that now. You've probably seen it before I have, but I've seen that out of Corey now that I've been around him on game day. He's got a little bit more of a swagger about himself and a chip on his shoulder, and he's got that want to. He wants the ball in his hands, and yeah, it's good to have him back out there when he's healthy because that just gives you another weapon. And as you know, we like to spread the ball around. We like to have balance, and he allows us to do that.
It seems like you've had a handful of teams now where the quarterback has been kind of in flux. Obviously Drew got hurt, and I don't really know if he's going to be back this week or what that looks like for them. But do you feel like this is another opportunity where you guys can come in and kind of stack the box a little bit and put some pressure on their quarterback?
Well, they're not going to change their philosophy offensively. I mean, Drew did not play obviously last week. They had over 500 yards of offense, so they're not going to change who they are. From a scheme standpoint, obviously he was their starter, had a lot of experience, great player, obviously one of the best players in our conference. So they're not going to change what they do. They rotated 2 quarterbacks against Western Illinois, and obviously it all starts with them with the run. They've got some weapons outside. Obviously the big receiver, that's one of the league leaders. One of in our conference as far as receptions and yards. He's a big-time playmaker, and obviously the slot receiver's a big-time playmaker. Not only is he a great special teams player, but they want to get it to him in space and let him do his thing. So they've got some playmakers, and the quarterback position for them, he's got to do a good job, obviously, of just getting the ball hands of their playmakers and let them do their thing. And for us, it's all about tackling, being very fundamentally sound, and limiting their big plays.
Any other questions? All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you guys.